What is going on, everyone? And welcome to Jump Ball with Josh. I'm your host, Joshua Massey, and I'm glad you could be here with me on episode 2. Today we're going to talk about a wish list for the top 6 teams in both conferences, and afterwards we'll hand out Massey's Man of the Week award to a player that I've handpicked. But first, let's get into a recap of the league for the past week. It's 2026 now, and the league is so good it's never been better. First up, I wanted to talk about the Jokic injury a bit more. It's been confirmed that he'll miss around 4 weeks. Sad news, but good news also. We're not going to miss him for a long period of time. When he went down, it looked dangerous. It looked like he could miss some substantial time. And as I said the other day, bigs and knees and ankles, it's really scary. It's a really scary thing to see. So 4 weeks. But it does mean that potentially he's going to miss out on the MVP candidate. He was, in my mind, front running that at the point that he got injured. So that's sad to see. Nuggets fans, stick at it. Hopefully the team can get some troops back. Jonas Valanciunas just went down. He's had a calf strain. So he's going to be out for some time. They're missing Aaron Gordon, Christian Braun. They're missing a number of players there. Cam Johnson is another one. So hopefully they can start getting some troops back and help Jamal Murray out and push towards playoffs in April. But let's get on to the Clippers. They look like a new team. They've won 6 in a row. They are now 12-21 and sit three wins out of the play-in. They've won each of their last 6 games by an average of 20 points, which is huge. It's a far cry from the team we saw from the start of the season. They just look disjointed defensively. But Kawhi has definitely been a key trigger in that, and he's now all of a sudden averaging 28 points, looking like an all-NBA player, doing it on both ends of the floor. You've got Lopez that he's shooting a lot of threes. The other night he had a lot of them, but he's flashy with his threes. Sometimes he's hitting, sometimes he's not. Harden's out there being a floor general. This team definitely is looking like they're connecting a bit better. Ty Lue said that they were looking to go 32-20 after that shocking start, and that's a good start. 6 in a row. They look like a new team late December, so let's see what they can do. They're going to get Zubac back, according to Shams, this Saturday versus the Celtics, Saturday in America. So it'll be good to see if they can get him healthy and make a run. They get into playoffs, they could be a scary team for anybody to see, especially with the way Kawhi can play and show up in playoffs. Moving on to an Eastern Conference team, the Miami Heat. They've won 4 in a row. After a shocking December, they've kind of got it back together. They beat the number 1 team in the East, the Pistons, 118-112, behind Norman Powell's 36 points. I really like what they've been doing lately. They're looking like they're getting their offense together. When the offense is clicking, their defensive end looks better. When they're missing shots, they're not getting back in transition, and they're kind of letting teams score easy. One thing I will talk about the Heat is Tyler Hero has missed a bunch of games this season, so I don't know where I can see them going. They need to get him back, but I think with him being out of the team right now, it's allowing them to be free-flowing. They kind of look clunky when he came back, but they need some time there, definitely. And the last point I've got here that I wanted to recap was Jalen Johnson. He's just been looking phenomenal. He's led the Hawks to 2 wins, one over the Knicks where he had an 18-point triple-double, and then that game at home against the Timberwolves where he had a 34-point, 10-rebound double-double in the win. He's just looked like the next franchise corner piece for the Hawks. There's a lot of talks going around about they might trade Trey. I read a report today that Stacey King came out and said the ownership loves him, the owner's son loves him. So, take it what you will with a grain of salt. Is he going to get traded? Is he not? But it's good to see a young guy like Jalen Johnson stand up. Potential first-time All-Star. potential most improved candidate. He's up there for both of those. Hopefully, he gets in there as an first-time All-Star. I would love to see it. So yeah, he's been doing his thing, and to beat two teams like the Knicks and the Timberwolves, they're no slouches. You saw Anthony Edwards walk off the court frustrated with coach Chris Finch for pulling the starters with 7 or so minutes to go. So yeah, he's been doing good things, and this season has definitely been a breakout season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. But we're going to move on to each team's wish list. We're going to go from 6th to 1st. We'll start in the East. We'll go conference to conference. So we'll start in the East. And I initially had it planned for the Orlando Magic. They lost today to the Chicago Bulls, which meant the Heat moved up. So the Miami Heat right now are the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. And I think their wish list right now is just to get some more size in that front court. You've got Bam and Kel'el Ware there that are kind of doing their thing, and then Jovic as well. But Jovic has been hit and miss. He has some good streaks, and then he has some bad streaks. So I think some more size there. Where they go for something like that, I'm not sure yet. Maybe a Ochai Agbaji from Toronto, someone like that could just add some size, a bit of scoring. That's a big area of their game right now where I think they need a little bit more, some size. The offense is looking good, as I said, through Norman Powell. Wiggins is stepping up, in different games. Harker's off the bench. So I think if they had another body to throw at off the bench, once they get Tyler back, maybe Kel'el Ware moves back to the bench, and they start with Tyler and Wiggins, Powell and Mitchell alongside Bam. That's to be seen. We'll see what happens. Definitely liking Kel'el in the starting lineup though. On to the 6th seed in the West, and it's Minnesota Timberwolves, and they just need reliable guard play. Definitely something, point guard. They just need someone out there to lead the team. And one of the names that I've got here that's cheap contract is Russell Westbrook. On the Kings, they're struggling. Should the Kings look to sell, I think Russell Westbrook could be a guy that Minnesota should pick up the phone about. He's veteran presence. He can set the floor. He can do a little bit of scoring, do a little bit of rebounding. He's going to be a guy that can come in. He might ruffle a few feathers, but if you're looking at Anthony Edwards and he's frustrated, this team needs more. That could be your spark plug. Westbrook comes in, leads the team. Conley maybe comes off the bench. Rob Dillingham really hasn't been what they thought he would be, so he's a name. And then probably more on the expensive side, if Chicago chose to sell, would be Kobe White. Just another guy that can come in, do a bit of scoring. Defensively he's gonna get in your face. He's a type of mould I could see them going for. They just need to try and beef up that guard play, definitely. Moving on to the 5th seed in the East, and it's the Philadelphia 76ers. And to me, there's a few things you could put here, but it's the health of Joel Embiid. He's missed 17 games this season. Obviously, he missed previous time over previous seasons. And if they're going to keep making a run to progress in the East, while it's wide open, it's just keeping Joel Embiid healthy, keeping him, out of that injury list, and just keeping him on the court. The team looks better when he's out there, of course. He's an MVP. So he that's the top of their wish list, keeping him healthy. You can talk about maybe trading away Paul George. You can talk about the potential growth of VJ Edgecombe. There's a number of things, but I think number one is just getting Joel Embiid on the court and keeping him there. Out in the West, it's the Los Angeles Lakers, and for me, it's big man defensive reinforcements. They've got DeAndre Ayton, but beyond that, Jackson Hayes probably isn't going to cut it when they get to playoffs, and so they definitely need a body to back up, and I think that guy could be Robert Williams. Go get him, go get his size. Same thing. He's got a bit of health issues, but if he's fit, he could do a job for the Lakers off the bench, and definitely help them in a deep playoff run. Another guy I've got is out in Indiana is Jay Huff. He was at one point this season leading the league in blocks, so he's a good shot stopper. He's on a cheap contract. He's going to clog the lane for you. He's going to give you some size. Just that grit and grind on defense that you can second wave of players come in, and he's going to lock down on defensive end. So definitely a point that I think they need to improve on, and would love to see them go get someone like Robert Williams or Jay Huff. On to the 4th seed in the East, and it's the Toronto Raptors. And they're the same. They need a backup big man. They need some size behind Jakob Poeltl. They're playing Mamu at the 5. He's more of a 4. I've keyed in someone like Bobby Portis. If the Bucks continue to be bad and continue to lose and are maybe a fringe playing team and they look to sell some guys, I'll be calling up about Bobby Portis and getting some size. He can stretch the floor. He's going to open it up for guys like Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett. He's going to open it up for all of them. So I would like to see a move for someone like Bobby Portis. Or if they were to go defensively, Jay Huff is again on this list. Just someone to lock down the paint, again, as I said before. Just some size, behind Jakob Poeltl would be great to just help them alleviate. They're obviously playing smaller guys at the 5, and we've kind of seen small ball go away. You look at what Houston's doing, so you're going to come into some teams in the playoffs with size. The Detroit Pistons are going to have size. The Knicks have size, so you definitely want to size up in that front court. On to the West, at the 4th seed, it's the Houston Rockets, and I'm looking for them a playmaker, someone that's going to come in, handle the ball, take a bit of pressure off Thompson being the primary ball handler, primary guard should I say, take the ball out of Durant's hands in some certain spots, so he can be more of a create his own offense off the pass. He can start attacking the rim. I've looked more to the cheaper options, and one of them is Trey Jones out there in Chicago, coming off the bench. He had an efficient game the other night where he had 20 points and didn't miss a field goal. 6 assists, I think it was. So if they could get someone like him to come in and just set the floor, off the bench, just kind of steady the ship a bit, take the ball out of some guys' hands that probably aren't as comfortable playmaking, I think he could be a guy. And Ryan Rollins is another guy who's definitely upped his impact this year. He's upped his numbers. I could see him going into Houston, hitting the 3 ball, setting up their offense on that second wave, coming in, and definitely gluing that bench together and making them a bit more of a spark. Taking the ball, as I said, out of some guys' hands that maybe aren't comfortable. Reed Shepherd can start catching and shooting. That's definitely an area I'd like to see them fix up. And on to the 3 seed in the East, and it's the Boston Celtics. So their wish list is obviously, first and foremost, they want to see where Jason Tatum's at. I'm interested to see where he's at. Some are saying he's ahead of schedule. Potential to come back in late March. So it'd give him a handful of games to run through. If they keep going at this, that'd be the 3 seed. Then he comes for playoffs. And if you get Jason Tatum fit and back at 100% for playoffs, then why wouldn't you go after a starting 5? Neemias Queta is doing a good job there, but they definitely want to size up. And I think a guy that I would like to see them go after is Nick Claxton, just to hold it down on the defensive end, and lock in the paint. He can still do a little bit of scoring offensively, offensive rebounding. He's going to get you putbacks and do all of that. And with those 2 guys there, you're gonna get him as a body in the paint that's going to kind of clog things up defensively. He's going to lock it down. It's going to help Derek White's job defensively down there. It's going to open up a lot of things. The other body I think they could go get would stretch the floor offensively would be Nikola Vucevic. If Chicago were looking to sell, and I think they should, then Vooch could be a good option in Boston. Stretch the floor a little bit, stretch five. He's gonna knock down some shots. He's gonna rebound for you, and that would definitely open the floor and the lane for Jaylen Brown right now. Guys like Pritchard and Derek White. Derek White likes to get to the hoop, so I think he is a primary option if you can't get Nick Claxton to just set up that five. That if Jason Tatum does come back and you do get him 100%, then you make a run. But if not, you've got them next season to continue on. Build that chemistry. I do think Vooch is on an expiring, so you would have to extend him or renegotiate a deal. I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard if he wanted to be there, in a winning environment. So that's something I would look to. Out west, number 3, Denver Nuggets. I'm looking just to them to get healthy. Missing 4 starters. They've obviously, we've spoken about Jokic. They're missing Christian Braun. They're missing Aaron Gordon. They're missing Cam Johnson. Valanciunas has gone down as well. So they just need to get bodies back. Jamal Murray's doing as good as he can with the rotation players. They were in the game today. They almost topped the Cavs. They pushed them to the wire. So I think if they get a few bodies back, take the pressure off Jamal. That Western Conference, you lose a few games, all of a sudden you slip to the play-in. And the Denver Nuggets are still a team I wouldn't want to face come playoffs, no matter what. Jokic can do incredible things, but primary on their wish list right now is just getting healthy, getting bodies back, and putting it together for the end of the year, for the playoffs. To the number 2 seed, and I'm looking at the New York Knicks out east, and it's just for Cat to stay aggressive offensively. He's averaging 22 points on 48% from field, 37% from 3. He likes to stretch the floor, but he likes to get aggressive inside too. And Jalen Brunson's always going to do what he does, but I'm looking for Cat to just get in there, be a bully, stay aggressive, and be that second option that can alleviate a little bit of what Brunson's doing. He has tendencies to kind of, go AWOL, and then all of a sudden you're looking at him and he's got 10 points for the night, and thinking, bro, you're way better than that. Your size. He's probably right now the best centre out east. So I really need him to capitalise on that for the Knicks to, just keep pushing. They're putting pressure on Pistons to take the 1 seed. He's on his bully, and I think if he keeps going this way and just keeps hitting shots, getting the ball, demanding the ball, taking some pressure off Brunson to just kind of let Brunson coast, and in the fourth quarters Brunson can hit the shots. That's what the Knicks need right now. Out west, and it's the San Antonio Spurs, and for them I'm really looking for some floor spacing to put around their paint drivers, the guys that are getting into the paint and getting 2 feet in the paint, putting shots up, getting layups up around Vic, Castle and Fox. They're putting pressure on the rim. And one of the names I got here is Trey Murphy. The Pelicans are obviously bottom of the West, and if they're looking to sell someone like Trey Murphy, I think the Spurs should really try and swoop him up. He's going to be a guy that's going to hit the 3. He's going to get you defensively. He's going to do a little bit of everything. So he's a guy that I could see them going after. If they wanted a cheaper option, I would look to go AJ Green. He's still hitting a silly amount of threes this year at a good rate. He'll do some defensive work for you as well. Not great, but he'll get a body on the perimeter. And I think those 2 guys are 2 key guys that could help space and open the floor for Vic offensively. Fox offensively. Champagny the other night, he had 11 threes, but he's not always doing that. So if they can open up a little bit more and take a little bit more pressure, this is the avenue I think they should go. And finally to the 1 seed, and we got the Detroit Pistons out east, and they need a second option, man. They need someone to help Cade score. And the perfect candidate right now is MPJ, Michael Porter Jr. He's having a comeback year of sorts with the Nets, and I think if you can get him in that mood, put him on your team, he's going to be able to hit shots. He's going to space the floor for you. He can definitely be a good second option, and it takes the ball out of Cade's hands every now and again. He's seeing bodies, and there's stretches there where he's struggling with it, and you got guys like Duran that can get into the paint and get the ball up, but apart from that, they've not got much else to go on a little run without Cade having to do some of the work. So MPJ does that for you. And another name I've got here is same again, Trey Murphy. Just the same thing. He's going to come on. He's going to stretch the floor. He's going to hit some threes. Not at a great rate, but he'll hit them for you. So those are two names. I would like to see them make a run for MPJ, make a bid. Surely the Nets will be looking to sell him sometime this month, maybe early February. So yeah, let's see where they go there. And over west, it's the best team in basketball right now, the OKC Thunder. And there's not much you could wish for this team right now. They're 30-5. But if I had to kind of draw out one thing, they're hoping that the Clippers suck again, and that pick gets value and it goes into the lottery and could potentially be a top 3 pick. They could, if the Thunder ended up with AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson or Cameron Boozer, man, the league would need to watch out. So that's the one thing I can kind of say. The team is looking well. They're looking good. They maybe need some 3-point shooting, but it's not a must. They're winning without it right now. They won without it in the playoffs last year. So they're just kind of hoping that the Clippers get back to their losing ways, and that pick gets valuable again. Anyway, on to the meat and potatoes of this, and this is the big one, and it's Massey's Man of the Week. Over the week of basketball, you're watching, you're seeing who's having an impact, who's impacting winning is a big part of this segment, and I couldn't not give it to this guy, and it's Kawhi Leonard. The team has been 3-0 this week. He's been doing some insane stuff. He's been averaging 44.3 points, 7.7 rebounds, 3.5 steals, and 2 blocks a game over the last 3 games. 60% from the field and 46% from 3. He had a career high 55 points against Utah and had Detroit, and had a 45-point game against Utah. And he's just doing it on both ends. And like I spoke about them earlier in the episode, he's just turned this team. His team has turned around, and it's on the back of Kawhi Leonard. He's scoring. He's pulling up from 3 and just not missing. He's stealing the ball defensively. He's blocking people. He's clogging the passing lanes, and he's really doing it on his own with some flashes from guys around him. I've been really impressed, and I couldn't not pick him. I just think Kawhi's impacting winning, and if they keep going like this, not only are they going to be a playoff team, but Kawhi will be an All-NBA team, no doubt about it. He's just doing everything right, and I had to give him the first Massey's Man of the Week. So, congrats, Kawhi. Keep doing what you're doing. I love seeing what you're doing. The other guy that was an honourable mention for it was Jalen Johnson, as I talked about him earlier in the episode. I'm big on him, what he's doing out there. So just keep on grinding. There's a heap of guys that could have put their name forward for this award, but right now it's Kawhi. He's the first guy, so yeah, keep balling. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks of basketball. You know, we're going to start talking about trades. We're going to start looking at All Star. You know, there's a lot of things. Then we get into the nitty gritty of the season. Teams are starting to lock their rosters in for playoffs. You know, contending teams. You got the lottery teams that are kind of trying to figure it out, where they're going, who's available, who's not, and then yeah, we get into the playoffs. So really looking forward to the next few weeks of January. 2026 is going to be an amazing year of basketball. There's a lot to look forward to. Cooper Flag's growing. You know, we got Denny Avdia out there, Portland. He's growing. We got LeBron back at his best. Luca out there, you know, doing his thing. Lots of good things in basketball right now, and it's a good place for NBA, and it's good to be as a fan. So I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to doing more episodes. I'll be back on Thursday to talk more basketball with you. But until then, thank you for joining Jump Ball with Josh. Please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any further content. And if you like something or you have an opinion on something, drop it in the comments. I'll always be open to any feedback you have. But till the next episode, cheers.